Hola everyone, I'm Veronica Bartolini with Codebreaker Real Talk, and I'm so excited to have Firehorse again for part 2. He has amazing intel and stories and just a bunch of information that we're going to go through. And I also did a reading for him like last week or and a half, so I'm going to just give you a little bit of what we found. In the reading I gave you, Firehorse, we confirmed that you were like a hermit. The first card that I got was the Hermit. You told me that your last serious relationship was in 2013. We discussed how dating had changed, and we spoke about an app like Tinder being crap, and that women found it easier to make money by selling their body parts, right? Or having sex with someone for at least $5,000. Let's face it, it's better to be alone than stuck with these parasites. You also told me you are a playwright and like to go to different cities and even countries. And I'm not going to say where you're going to be because that's a secret, right? Soon to write because it's very difficult to write in your place or town because it just tends to be noisy. You were born and raised in New York. The next card that came up was the Sacred Serpent. This reminded me of your Bruce Lee connection. Up and then the dragon. And there's also a movie, Dragon, a Crouching Dragon, or there's a movie with Bruce Lee about the dragon. And your serpent lineage. That's what I thought about first thing. Oh yeah, it reminded me of the House of Dragon. Soon you will be writing about Lee and Tesla and Anen. How do you say Anantaman or Anan?
Akhenaten.
Akhenaten, which is like another Anunnaki, which is I found very interesting when I was looking it up that he put all the religions in one and called it the one God. I find that very interesting. And the CIA, you're going to be writing about that, and you're going to talk a little bit about that too. I can't wait to hear all about it. We discussed you being used in possibly as a super soldier in the secret space program as a child because of your bloodline. You are Spaniard and Puerto Rican, and you have many abilities and talents, and who knows, you might be O negative. You can travel interdimensionally through wormholes. You were used in the Stargate program, Stargate 1, like I was. You were used in the Project Pegasus as well. You have the abilities to bring back items, like we mentioned, through the wormholes. You have also the ability to time travel. And okay, so you are an important key here on Earth to help others to awaken. And we also talked about Mary Magdalene and Joshua bloodline. Part of being a starseed and super soldier is that many of us are chased or followed by the CIA or sent those CIA love bites. And then I wrote down Firehorse. I also told you I had a dream about you in 2018 about the white horse and how I saw the horse in the sky with the blue flame. And this was not when I was dreaming. This is when I was hiking. So to me, you are that white horse that came to me here in my apartment, and I think it was 2018. And I found it very interesting that when I went outside, because I saw myself here, I went through the mirror in the bathroom. You know, I saw myself sleeping, and then I went outside, and it turned into like Mexico, my grandma's house. And I saw that this man was raking the land, but it was just dirt he was raking. There was nothing growing. And he had you and another lion and tiger and an elephant inside this huge cave with a glass. And I was really mad at that man. And I got the light that goes out of my, the chest into my hands, and I broke the mirror. And you came running, and it was awesome. You laid your head on my lap, and I feel that you're very important here on Earth. So thank you for being here. How are you?
Thank you. Glad to be back, and I want to say, Akhenaten. As far as Akhenaten goes, he really didn't do like had all the religion said it. It's like that. I guess the people miss the point or misinterpret that, but it had a deeper meaning, than that. Meaning that because of the old priesthood, they were fighting off the old priesthood where he really said like, listen, you know, all the God is within you. Your ancestors, your higher selves, everything is within. That's what it represented more than just like like worshiping different gods and just worship one God, only one God. It's like we are that one God. So that's what uh uh, uh he meant by that. And as far as like the super soldier, I really like, unless it's like astrally, I don't really like see it. Like if I was part of that program, because I'm in 2018, I don't even know where I was in 2018, but like that's something that I don't really understand. Like, maybe physically, if I hear some other people talk like super soldiers that were taken, to these places and all that, me as a person that kind of like studies the occult or tries to understand it, I'm going like, how does that happen unless it's at in the astral plane? Because that would explain a lot. Because a lot of times I had a CIA. Not, I don't want to keep saying that word fuck. Excuse me, but intelligence, the agencies like is kind of interesting. It's like they came to me, like they roll up at me, and like I'm this hermit who's just like, I started on this journey before I hit kindergarten, because I had this experience where I was looking at the ceiling. It was a lighting fixture, and it morphed into like what I assumed as a child was an alien. And we were talking. I don't remember the conversation, but one of the only line that I remember, which is kind of interesting, was like, "You have a destiny," and I'm not going to be the kind of person to be out there putting myself out there. Hey, I'm a prophet or whatever. It's like we all are, in our ways with our consciousness. And I don't even want to be famous. That's why I put on a mask. I don't want people to know who I am. I'm just here to tell you this crazy experience and to really wake you up, hey, people, check this shit out. What's going on in this world. So, Bruce Lee crossed my path because we had a past life connection. Like I remember as a child always being shy, quiet, awkward with sports. But when it came to like kung fu, there's something inside me that was like, wait a minute, this is familiar. This is a passion that is something that's like whatever people's out there, whatever their passion is, a lot of it has to do with like what their soul, wanted. So like whatever influences you had from a past life, you were a dancer, an actor, an architecture, or a doctor, and you're that in this lifetime, chances are you was that in your last lifetime, or one of your goals that you didn't accomplish, because it is like the soul is just a reincarnation. That part, if we include what motivates us to think of certain ways, a lot of it has to do with like what's within. We think like, okay, I want to do this. This is inspiration, but the inspiration always comes from something from the past. So with me, it was a martial arts. I just got it. It was just something that just flowed easy. Like I was able to get it. And what are the ways that I connect with it? It's like I'm sure it's like the past life with my present life. I was doing mushrooms one time, and every time I do mushroom, I tap into that martial artist from that time. Where it really is all about you connecting with the force. You know, is the Jedi. The Jedi is the same as martial arts. It's like because our quest always as men, you know, it's always in the head. We're always like, it's about thinking. It's like, you know, providing for family or like, you know, protecting a girl. How the fuck do I survive in this world? And you know, everybody else has it easy with money and I'm fucking struggling to make, you know. So it's like these dynamics that we have, like that's constantly in there, that is meant by the system to prevent us from seeking our spirituality, who we are, you know, because the last thing that they want you to know is that within, it's like, holy, we are the gods. Where are the gods? The gods disappear, the gods incarnated. And God is just incarnated into us humans, you know, into these avatars, you know, because it's everything, you know, you just get the distractions, and a lot of it has to do with television, you know. We worshiping idols, and these idols are the one that are doing the bidding for these like these demiurge. Like right here, like you see that those demiurge. You check this out. That worm. I'm gonna stay on this story here for like a second. This is kind of cool because I think I was ranting, but this night, there's a night like back in the nights. I don't know if these guys were the Knights of Templar and all that, but like there were certain knights that will always sleep in their armor and never get out of their armor. And they will have like waters being poured like through their helmets and all that stuff. And within these armor, this is a demiurge, which I think are like these cosmic parasites, you know, that are intelligence that will be, because look, what soldier, how the fuck is a soldier gonna fight with all this heavy suit and a night and then expect to see through that? You know, how do you see through that? You know, so that was I think it was a statue that was in a museum in France, and that was inside, and that's why like if you see that on certain like English like banners and all that stuff, there's always like the lion with the lion, and that is kind of interesting. Uh, um, all the crazy stuff that's going on in this universe, and we are definitely you know, just tunnel vision. It's like nothing to see here. You know, there's like countless of dimensions and beings. It's like endless. It's like the creation is endless. Okay, now this is going to tie in what I'm saying with Lee and Hollywood, because this is what they do with a lot of these. Like there's a 27 Club, you know, that's been going on where they fake the celebrity death, but it's been said, which I kind of believe this one, because if Elvis fakes his death, if you go on YouTube, you see it. You know, the older guy who's a preacher, and you see him with white hair, he's still got his voice. But it's like you make more money when you have dead celebrities. You know, some of them they do sacrifice. You know, but like Hendrix reinvented, became, you know, Morgan Freeman, and then Tupac, who was reinvented, he became this Jamaican artist now, which people are not stupid. If you go on YouTube and search for it, like Tupac Jamaican artist now, you see like they're going like, that's Tupac up there. So it's all about these rituals that happen with these celebrities, but they say like, oh, it happened on this ley line. So the mass consciousness, whatever black magic they're working, that they need, you know, energy, which is that's that we are the batteries, Matrix. You know, shout out to Sophia Stewart, the queen that wrote the Matrix, you know, movies, that those ideas that came from her, and the Terminator. She wrote a book called The Third Eye, and they just salvaged that book, and you know, but
Well, actually, I'm gonna correct you on the Matrix. Tom Althouse wrote the Matrix, and he's actually battling in court with that lady and Warner Brothers and the other brothers. So, but yeah, he's been on my show 6 times.
yeah, and I heard that too, but I haven't heard it in as details. But I heard that too, and I was like, but wait a minute, Sophia Stewart from the Bronx, that I know is like she's been writing forever, and then I remember like these ideas when she had that going when I was the Terminator going like, wait a minute, because it kind of ties to one story. But anyway, uh, we'll go focus on this. We'll get back with that because
You
then
know
I want
me.
her to come to
My
your show and
channel,
get
yeah,
to the
my
bottom
channel,
of
I call it as it is. So that's why a lot of people won't come
no,
on my
you
show.
did you read her fourth book? If you read the fourth major books, you're like, holy, she wrote this, because they can see even Hollywood people saw it and they're like, and I was supposed to give that book to Keanu Reeves because I was working on Jack Wick 3. And those
Oh,
bastards, they're
Keanu?
fuckers, Hollywood, they know who I am too, those fucking motherfuckers, because they are in a cult.
Yes.
It's like for me, it's like, how why know this guy? For me, it's like,
Is Keanu Reeves a good guy or is he a pedo?
I hope he's not, because so far I've seen like nice things about. I mean, I was on the set when he was sitting on an apple box at 3 o'clock in the morning with a fake brain over his soaking, and he's just there shaking like. And I'm going like, oh shit, this guy gonna die. But he looks at us and he's like, are you guys okay? I was like, yeah, Keanu, are you okay? So he's really cool. He's really nice. And there was a story that I heard that he went to a party and then in the refrigerator they had like these, but there's stories, we don't know either confirmed that he got mad and he punched the guy out. But yeah, no, Hollywood is you gotta see. There's a movie called Argo. I think Operation Argo with Ben Affleck, where they do cover stories where they will pretend that they have a movie going on and they have the actors. Oh, this is gonna get crazy. Okay. Um, Hollywood and the agencies work hand in hand together. Like, remember when Good Will Hunting came out? In Good Will Hunting, and there's a movie that's like, come on, it wasn't that fucking good. That doesn't have the president go like, let me put the cigar down and get back to Monica later and see this movie with you guys. And he was like, that was Weinstein and these two actors, Ben and Matt. There are Israeli agents. They're agents. Half of these Hollywood A-listers are agents, and that's their cover. So whenever they go to whatever country, whatever going on, hey, they're filming a movie here and all that. Okay, they're filming a movie, but a lot of it is like, okay,
yeah,
stuff's going on. And
like that guy Mark Wahlberg, he did Mile 22, and I used to have a friend who was in high school who's a DARPA agent now, and he told me, Vero, that Mile 22 movie is on spot. That is real. All that shit is true. And right now that you said they're agents, yeah, like Mark Wahlberg, if you notice, he was also in Blue Bloods and things like that. And it also makes me think of Magnum PI, when we were kids and we would watch Magnum PI and all those movies. But anyway, go ahead.
yeah, so then it's like to keep the struggle going on these poor like thousands of millions of actors and filmmakers that look at, oh my god, they made it, these two guys. Now we're like, it's like the game is rigged. You might as well make your money somewhere and then do your own films for you artists, or do your own albums and do your own things. And this is what Hollywood does. Remember this kid? I seen him and it's kind of fucked up. It's like, it's kind of fucking that the story goes like, he was the mother left them playing games, and then she turned around, he was missing, and then after that they found his head like in the pond somewhere. And then the father, John Walsh, had a show called America's Most Wanted. That kid is alive, and he was child trafficked. So if you go on YouTube, go for his sister and all that, you're gonna see she's talking all about it and all that stuff. But it's like, it's just the news. If you look at the news where he's like sitting with the mother, they're crying and all that, like, saying that this kid, like was kidnapped and killed, and they found his head in like in this, like a side dish somewhere or whatever. And then you have like this show, America's Most Wanted, #1 show. And yeah, it's like, how low would they fucking stoop, the show is good. I did like it, but it's like, come on,
Yeah, I used to watch it all the time, and then you're right. Now his daughter is talking about all the stuff he did to her and trafficked her and sexually assaulted her and molested her and all that shit. And it's like, it's just another way of them making money with children that supposedly go missing, but exactly, that's their cover so that they can, sell them to these assholes. So, yeah, it's so sad.
Yeah, it is. Let me see. Okay, check this out. That guy. Okay, you see there goes Jimi Hendrix guy, but check the guy before him. Okay, you know who that is? That is, ladies and gentlemen, Jim Morrison. Jim Morrison never died. And he owns, there's a ranch called the Jim Morrison Ranch. How incognito, it's called the Jim Morrison Ranch, and he lives on the Jim Morrison Ranch, and that is Jim Morrison now. Riders on the storm. And yeah, doesn't he look like, when people see this, they're like, oh my God, Jimi Hendrix. Was like, no, that's Morgan Freeman. We should be ashamed, because he was such a great guitarist that they was like, oh, we need to retire this guy and put him and give him something else to do, which I can definitely see that, because there was this kid, there was this 13, 14-year-old, robust brother, in like high school, lifting weights, and he was like breaking records that professional people, like professional guys, weren't able to do, and they kept retesting him. I forgot his name, man. And he was heading up there. Well, like, as a matter of fact, that young brother, I think the character they based on Bruce Willis, Broken, I think it is, I'm Shalom Night, where Bruce Willis plays this guy that he just keeps like, what the fuck, putting weights and lifting it. That was this young brother who was like 13, 14, entering these competition, winning, and they could go like, what the hell, testing him and all that. But I think that was like a God gene right there, like just being set off, like that we all are, which is what these the opposition doesn't want us to do, because that's part of evolving. That's how we evolve, back to our state of full potential.
When you were talking, I thought right away, I thought about The Crow and Bruce Lee's son. I have the movie The Crow, and remember they supposedly killed him on set? Remember?
Yeah, that is like tricky. Like I don't know if it's real or not, but I definitely know the Lee thing. He was definitely he was set up, because Lee told me that himself. I met the reincarnated Bruce Lee in this lifetime. As a matter of fact, he was the one that was my fucking handler when a psyop operation rolled up on me in 2011.
Talk about it. How did you meet him? Tell us, please, because I don't know. I want to know all about that. How did you meet him?
And this is why I kind of came out here to do this more like therapeutic. It's like to talk about this, because you get a little like I don't know, STP from this. Imagine 6 months of like a sergeant, of like boot camp hell week, where you're just being screamed at and like psychologically, like all this shit. But I knew what was going on. But okay, let me tell you how it happened at the start of this, because I'm into filmmaking, acting, writing, and I was looking through Craigslist, and okay, let me tell you this. So because there's only like 3 or 4 of these pictures. So I'll set all these off. If you could go back to that picture, that other picture was a comment this person was saying, because remember the Cabbage Patch Kids? And it's kind of interesting that they call them the Cabbage Patch Kids. When you look through the Reset's history, even the old postcards of kids like going, oh, they were like, you know, stalks bringing babies, or like the kids being grown in cabbages, which is probably a metaphor for maybe incubators, because there was an old postcard. There's a TikTok floating somewhere. This guy did a video on it and all that stuff. There's of a postcard that's
I posted it on Telegram. You know what's
oh,
funny is I had a PE teacher when I was in high school. She used to make Cabbage Patch dolls and sell them to the kids. And I never had the money. My parents, you know, we were poor. And I'm like, I always wanted a Cabbage Patch, but I'm like, I'm glad I never got one, because now I know what I know.
it's kind of something always comes from somewhere, from somewhere. You know, there's always has its root somewhere. But this is just a person down underneath. People could frame, you know, pause it and read it. But this is like a comment. There's like a few comments of like certain people that if you get the older generations, because that's what they say is a library. When somebody's old that dies, the whole library dies. So you gotta tell them like, hey, what's different than what they're teaching us now in the history books that's different from your, you know. It's like, well, it was flat, it was not round, you know, which, you know, we are inside simulation, so it doesn't matter whether it's round or flat. Plus, sun on, if you take the sun away, you will still get night and day. You will still get that. That is part of the people go, but the sun moves this way and the light and the reflector. Forget about that. Metaphysically, if people understand sun or no sun, you're still gonna see night and day. You know, you see there's an ocean, a picture of somebody took a photograph in the ocean, and you see the separation between night and day being set up that way. And it's like, how is the sun doing that? You know, so yeah, that goes that out the window. But anyway, these are on the 1800s, when a lot of the Caucasian races were like just like being repopulated, like in these areas, because all these they remember, like these are certain parents, certain like older folks going like, yeah, I didn't have any parents, they just grew me. And these are like the just the comments of the people from this video of the first film done, and then it's just like a short silent film, but it depicts like the babies in cabbages, you know, like just like coming in, you know. And if you remember back in the 1800s, they were even delivering them. You get like a postman. It's like, hello. It's like, I didn't order a baby. Honey, did you order a baby?
My mom and my dad used to tell us that the stork brought us. Oh, te trajo la cigüeña. And I'm like, what? A stork brought me?
Oh, they were probably shagging by this point. um but yeah, so it's kind of interesting just to hear from the people the stories, you know, like the tradition that goes, you know, hearing the oral tradition from your ancestors and all that. Hey, that wolf, I like the tailor. I like to meet his tailor. Like a wolf.
That's Lola. She came to me in a dream in 2017 as a white wolf, and there was a bunch of coyotes behind her and little dogs. And right before I woke up, she said mother to me, and she was telling me something else telepathically, and I don't remember. And lo and behold, this August, I was on my way to the gym, and I found her in the desert with 11 puppies, and I brought 10 of them with me because one had gone away, deceased. But yeah, I found homes for all of them. They were mixed with pit bulls, so they were shepherds. She's been the German Shepherd. She's a badass protector, and I'm grateful for her. She just likes to chase the 2 cats that I have. But thank you. Yeah. You know, that reminds me of the wolf and the 3 little pigs. Why did the wolf want to bring down their home? Were they not feeding him? What were they doing to him? And I think we spoke about wolves and werewolves on our Halloween special, how when the moon, comes up and people change. But go ahead, let me go close the window, but go ahead and talk, Firehorse. I'll be right back.
Let me see. Let's see. There any more pictures in there? If not, then so Lee, I met Lee because he already knew who he was, but before, like he believed that he was the reincarnated John the Baptist. Before Lee, before he realized that he was also the reincarnated Bruce Lee. Let's see. Yep. Oh, what a shame. Yeah, yeah, and that's it on these little pictures here. So Lee, he put an ad in Craigslist. There's a gig section for like gigs for screenwriters or actors or crew. And I answered an ad. They were looking for a screenwriter because he said, I want to write this screenplay. And he also wanted to write a book. I'm good with dialogue and I'm good, but I rather, I don't want to be a gun for hire. I rather just write my own stuff and just make my own films. But I needed money, so I said like, well, yeah, maybe I could help this guy write this. And he just started to, he says, help me write this screenplay, and the theme would be like with reincarnation. I said, okay. I pretty much got like a good understanding, at least my understanding of reincarnation. I said, okay, cool. But then as I read down further, it said like he mentions Bruce Lee. I don't remember how he worded, but he also worded Bruce Lee. I said, oh wow. I said, well, I love Bruce Lee. I grew up on Bruce Lee. I understand, like his genius as an actor, as a writer, as a thinker, as a martial artist. Like I because and it's weird how I picked up on every little like subtleness of him, but it goes back to, it goes crazy. But this is sometimes, with the lady clone. There's a lady that I met, a Texan who's a clone, or she tells me she's a clone. I think she is, because I really, you feel people, you feel like their spirit and their energy, and like no matter how nice she was, you just didn't feel anything. You
You
really
had
didn't
a
feel.
worm. Maybe you had a
Um
worm. You never know the backdrop people. Who are the zombies? Who are these people? Are they?
but so she was the one, we channeled it together. She's really good. She's really good. Boy, she's really good. Like she studied also neuro-linguistic program, and then if you have like a niche in your mind, like, oh, she could talk to you through the phone, neuro-linguistically program, and you're like, because that's how I felt that, like when oh my god, this is gonna get crazier, but I don't want to go that deep, not yet, because it's just
What if
layers
she
of.
was programming you? What if she was programming you with code words? You never know with these neuro-linguistic people what they're trying to do.
No, 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 no. I knew exactly what she was doing. Because check this out, because it tied in. She was the only one that figured this out. Remember, I was talking to you back about destiny, this alien that morphed, and I was talking to it. That's it. That's it. I didn't realize that alien was an alien braid with me. Like I didn't realize, and I didn't know that. It was until like and this, back in the 70s where this happened, and this is like now close to 2010, and she's the only woman that goes like, you have an alien braid on you. And I'm going like, what? She was like, yeah, you don't know this, but your higher self, you guys agreed to, like, but it's like this punishment that you have for yourself, because it's like, I feel like I'm glad that there's a lot of other starseed children that are doing like helping people with like their spirituality and sharing it, and like, because I thought I was the only one. It's like, oh, this burden on my fucking shoulders. Alien said that I have to like go save the world. It's like, how the fuck do I do that? You know? And it's like, I guess it's pretty easy. Is you tell them your experiences. You don't, you because now people with all these YouTube are like, and I'll tell you what really happened if you join my Patreon, and it's like, man, who has time for that? Knowledge is free. I don't think about it. It's like, oh, you have to monetize the channel, this and that. It's like, man, they already fucking figured my ass out because of Lee. So I put this ad, send it to this guy. 2 years later, he responds. We talk on the phone, and he's like pretty deep. We get into a lot of like deep, cool discussions. And then we get into like Lee, and I tell him like, listen, about Lee, and then blah, blah, blah. And towards the midpoint in the conversation that we're having, he was like, can I tell you something, bro? Because it was like before there was like everybody saying now, bruh, I hate that fucking word. He used to say that back in 2011. So he tells me, yeah, I'm the reincarnated Bruce Lee. And then I'm like, it's like, as an empath, I know people are full of shit and all that stuff, but I was like going, holy fucking shit. And it's I don't want to say it's weird, because it's like your thoughts are powerful. You are what you think. And for me, since a childhood of my father bringing me to the movie theater, and first of all, it's like, have you ever like encountered or never met somebody and you guys meet for the first time, your hair goes up and then your whole body, and you're like, what the, like your spidey senses, it was like, what the hell's going on here? That's like your soul recognizing the other soul from past life, going like, oh, what's up? That's like soul recognition. The souls are just recognizing. You guys are going like, what the hell? You're looking at each other. So that's what happened when I went into the movie theater and saw Bruce Lee on the big screen for the first time in The Chinese Connection. And that was like, I was like, my whole life will change after that. And I just like was so obsessed with everything. But then again, what I said earlier about reincarnation, it's like, I don't know, why was I obsessed with him? Why it's like the documentaries of him dead in a casket. You look at that, and then the heart, like, and then I want to cry, and I'm going like, what the hell? It's like, why do I want to cry over this guy? It's like I mean, I have heroes, but like, I'm not like. And then it just, yeah, she confirmed that the woman that was doing the readings, because eventually we met, but over the phone when we were having this thing about the alien brain that we agreed, experience stuff and all this stuff. But I had this mechanism of like not punishing myself, but like making sure to be disciplined of reading certain books, just doing this, writing that, practicing martial arts, just being focused, because I figure like maybe is to make a movie, but a metaphysical movie. But I was never into YouTube. I was never doing this, talking to you about any of this. So it was the curiosity, is like, how do they roll up at me, these intelligent agencies? Like, why are they around me? It's like, I haven't said shit, I haven't done anything.
And it's also MK Ultra programming. You never know if they were trying to MK Ultra you since you were a kid with these different programs, and then they just want to see, did it take? Is he doing it? Is he saying what we program him with? Or it could be that you had to go through all these screen memories that they put in there, and then you're like, yeah, I am the reincarnation of Bruce Lee. So there's two sides of the story.
Yeah, but no, it was I wasn't the reincarnated Bruce Lee.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the when I answered that ad of that guy, and then we talked on the phone, and it was through the phone that he told me, it was like, I'm the reincarnated Bruce Lee.
Okay, got it.
And then that's when I was going like, wow, that fucking I'm an empath, you know. I felt like, yeah, that he was right, because synchronicities, everything else in life. I'm like, okay, I've been obsessed with this person since I was a child. You know, I practiced martial arts because of him. Got my ass kicked too, but I kicked ass too, and that's the best way to learn martial arts, is to just put on gloves and fucking spar. That's the best way to fight, is to spar, practice, but you gotta spar, you gotta spar.
Or no gloves. The way they did it with me, and no gloves. You just
Well,
go.
I had a Kung Fu t-shirt that was fucking insane. He was like the character from Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver. He was like that type of a character, like, but he was into Bruce Lee, and he was like, no, you gotta kill. You gotta. Yeah. I'll just tell you this quick funny story of this guy, how crazy it was. It was like before there was, because he was also obsessed with Bruce Lee, but he took it to another fucking level, that guy. The haircut, the penmanship, writing, and I'm going like, what the fuck? This is crazy. This guy was crazy. So this is the Bronx, in the basement. Before there was MMA, we were already doing it in the Bronx. One of our boys was the Last Dragon, the guy from the Last Dragon. Sam, I forgot his name. One of my boys, and I forgot his name. Timac. I hate it when he had put that name, but he's a Dominican brother from the Bronx. You know, there in Cypress Hill, with the rap group Cypress Hill rap group, who are Cuban, were there. And then somewhere around there, it was in the basement, we were kicking each other's ass. And I remember one time there was Rose, because he was so psychotic that he just had put on gloves and just go at each other. And we're small, we don't know anything, and we like getting knocked out, and like they're laughing. We could have fucking, somebody could have died there. But I'm glad that he did that, you know. But that's like, you know, I understand that, because, you know, like you know, certain initiations in African tribes about man, and I'm not egotistical man, but it's like, you know, you got to bring out that side, so you know that you have that side, you know, when it, you know, when shit goes down, that you know you have that you know, that lowering, you know, killer instinct to, like, you know, not me, motherfucker. But okay, so it's 3 rows of people doing katas or whatever we were doing. I think we were doing horse dance, and there was this guy, a new member, and he had like a tomahawk. So he was like a punk rocker. And then I'm looking at it. I'm talking to the punk rocker, and I don't hear what he's saying. He grabs an axe and he flings it, and I see it, and I just like dodge out of the way, and then the axe just goes find me and just goes on the concrete floor, and then goes on the floor. And he was like, pay attention. So that was the kind of crazy guy that he was, but that was kind of interesting and fascinating. Going like, holy shit, this guy's like Wolverine, a real life Wolverine, you know. And as a kid growing up, wanting to know martial arts, and wanting to fight, and then seeing it, like, you know, this is the streets, this is how it is, you know. He taught me, you know, I can't say, but he was also fucking nuts. Anyway, so getting back to one nut to the next nut, Lee. So we talk on the phone. He says, you know, he's the reincarnated Lee. We go, we meet, and I'm glad that I have like a witness with me, because I had like this one brother that he's really good in like electronics, and he was also in the military. He was going by that house that one time, and a white truck was there with like guys trying to fuck with him to deteriorate him from going into that house that very first night that I invited him over to meet him, and he came with his wife and his 2 kids. And then we go, and then we start going crazy, just talking about conspiracies and all that stuff. But I didn't know that he smoked pot, because it was like, you know, he was like, we're there, and then he puts out a joint. He goes like, and then going like, oh shit, yeah, you? He was like, yeah. And then going like, damn, Bruce Lee smoked pot. I didn't know this shit. Anyway, So we're smoking, we start getting into it and we start talking about conspiracies. And one of the conspiracies that I told him, which, you know, it was going like, wow, this is crazy, was about Paul McCartney, you know, because I worked in a Madison Avenue in a deli, and then the Paul McCartney came in with his then not wife yet, this woman that she was the president of the MTA, something like that, vice president or whatever, you know, of MTA. But they were together. They came in together, and when they were coming in, everybody's like, "Oh my God, it's Paul McCartney! It's Paul McCartney! It's Paul McCartney!" And I was like, "That's not Paul McCartney." And everybody's going, "It's Paul McCartney." And then only this Jamaican guy, because he's a conscious brother, I guess I found that he was like, "Yo, man, what do you mean that's not Paul McCartney?" And I was like, "No, that's not Paul McCartney." I said, "The real Paul McCartney died in 1966 in a car crash. He was like the favorite Beatles of all the young teen girls."
I knew he had died. I knew it. Yes.
And then, you know, to have young girls going like this, plus this was a manufactured Rothschild, you know, sorry to say, band, you know. So anyway, so he was replaced, and then and then I'm saying I didn't realize this full volume, but he's like 3 feet away from me with his girl. You know, they're like, that's not the real Paul. The real Paul died in 1966. You know, and although this guy's a superior musician than Paul, I do like his shit better. You know, because you know, he studied musical theory, and then you have these two greatest Beatles hits. You have a red one, and you have a blue one. And then the red one is from 1962 to 1964. I guess that's when he died in 64, and then the or 64 to 66, and then from 64, yeah, he died in 64. And then the other one is the blue one where the other guy, you know, joins in, Billy Shears.
You know, it's another play on red pill, blue pill. Which pill are you gonna take? It's another take on the Matrix crap. Do you notice that?
It also like in corners with like the red corner, the blue corner in boxing, and Republicans and Democratic and like, yeah, they're and I think that's representing certain families, the blue and bloods and the red bloods, you know.
You got it. And even in politics, it's like the donkey, right? They got the blue and the red. And it's a fight against the bloodline. I mean, we can get into all that stuff later, but go ahead. Sorry. And then what happened?
It's okay. Yeah, I'm trying to pick up on, because I'm jumping all over the place. So I'm sure that people are gonna say like, no, I want to hear the Lee stuff, because it's a lot of Bruce Lee fans out there, tons of Bruce Lee fans. So yeah, so then this is the first time that I get to see what a drone is. Like I went to the kitchen. This was in 2011, and I don't think they were even commercially available or whatever. And I'm looking and we're like, why is this star out the window so close? Like, and it was a surreal night. It was a fucking surreal night, because I'm gonna tell you something crazy deep, you know, with that night anyway. As I'm looking at some point my friend leaves, and then I'm still with him, we're talking all night, and then I'm looking out the window, and then there's a bright light, like the Star of Bethlehem is out the window, and I'm like, what the hell? And I go, Lee, what is that out there? And he's with a cigarette, he looks out, and he was like, that's a drone, and he just walks away. And I'm going like, a drone? What the fuck is a drone? You know,
Yes,
and I said,
yes.
okay. So this is what fucking boggles my mind. Check this out, people. Check this out. After that night, but anyway, I'll finish it off, but it has to do with dogs too and all that. This is crazy. So then I see the surveillance there, like that was the first night of the psyop operation that happened, because in front of my building, there's another building there, and then they had set up cameras there. They set up cameras in my building. I was like, what the fuck? On every floor, they set up cameras. I was like, what the fuck? So in my mind, I was like, hold on. Come here, want to come and introduce? Here, I'll introduce you to Lola, this is another Lola right here. She just came in to say hi.
Hola, puppy. What's your
Look,
name?
Lola. Lola Cabana.
Hi, Lola. Qué bonito.
She came to say hi. She said hi. So, um, so this would happen days after that, but on that, let me just end on this night because this night was so surreal. So then there's the drone. I go back. We'll start talking, and then I'm talking to Lee, and at some point, I'm looking at him, and like his face morphed. Like he wasn't the same person. I was like looking at him, and then I went like, "What the fuck is going on?" It's like he looked at like he went from looking like Ryan Gosling. Yes, he's an Irish guy reincarnated in this lifetime as an Irish guy, and he did military testing. He scored high, and he also told the military people, "Hey, I used to work for. I was a reincarnated Bruce Lee, and I used to work for you guys when I was Bruce Lee." And then the intelligence going like, "What? Let's confirm this." And sure enough, it was confirmed. I guess that's one of the reasons why they killed him. Also, it's like he was working too much with the Americans, doing too much business, and he was giving away a lot of secrets. The number one thing he was giving away like a lot of like ancient secrets and all that.
Right. Real quick, before I forget, there's this movie called Deep Water with Ben Affleck. And part of the movie is it's MK Ultra and different altars and things like that. He uses his wife and certain things. He's asked in the movie, so what do you do for a living? Because he works on drone warfare, he says. Made a chip to boom. The chips kill people. All right. That's what the movie is about. And they have to tell you secrets in movies.
Do,
Now,
do they do
huh?
they shoot these ships at you from
They,
drones?
some of the drones have like tiny little, they look kind of like little birds. They actually look like bees, or they could be little tiny things like mites. They could be tiny things like wasps. They can look like grasshoppers. They can look like fucking moths and shit, black, and they can kill you like that. Okay. And they come in swarms of, like, how when you see the birds coming in swarms like that, boom, like that. And another thing is, because when we're born, they chip us here in the back. If you don't somehow take out that chip or implants in our bodies, they can also be used as antennas to detonate a person like that. Our phones have chips in them. They can detonate a phone. They can detonate your vehicle if it's like the top of the line, even Tesla or the digital ones. That's why I don't like new vehicles. I won't buy a new vehicle. But going to the drone real quick, about when you said the Star of Bethlehem, I have seen the first bright star that ever comes out here. They call it the North Star or the Star of Bethlehem. That's a fucking drone. That's a drone. It could also be space station right next to it, right? You never know. But to me, that is a drone right there watching us when the first bright star comes up. And I've also seen here every night in my parking lot, and I posted it too. I have seen and taken pictures of TR-3Bs. They're here watching. Some people think, oh, it's alien technology. Well, it's fucking military. All right. And I live by Davis Monthan Air Force Base. So a lot of this shit comes out in movies, and people are oblivious to, like that movie with Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck is also an agent. He came out in the movie Accountant. Anyway, go ahead. Thank you.
Let's see. Lee, so that night, okay, and this is what I discovered. It's like, why is this guy went from Brian Gosling looking to like grandpappy, Popeye's grandpa, like he was like, oh, I said, what the hell? Like his face morphed. And what I didn't realize was that he had taken out his teeth. Like he had both they then removed, and I'm going like, what the fuck? He, in order for him to join the agency, he had to pull out all his teeth, top and bottom.
Because they're like fingerprints. Well,
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, and then he hadn't done all at once. He was like, I want it all done at once, because that is, aside from fingerprint, that is a disguise. It was like, if they're following you, you could turn around one corner and then look like from Ryan Gosling to like a grandpappy, and it was all just to remove that and go like, wow. And he sure enough, yeah, he joined, the agency. And yeah, and then they were impressed because he said that he worked for them when they were in a past life, and he has some interesting powers, that guy, because he was arrested. He was like, he just grew up like to be a bad apple, which I was going like, okay, Bruce Lee grew up with gangs. Lee here did all fucking types of drugs, and then just came to find out that Bruce Lee did all types of drugs. He had his guy send him stuff, to Hong Kong, put it on his name and all that. So for me, there was like this thing of like, oh my god, this icon guy, and then seeing Lee, seeing the way he is, and I'm like, wait a minute, I thought he was Mr. Discipline. Let's practice martial arts, this and that. All he wants to do is like, yo, let's roll up a joint, let's sit down. I'm like, oh, I want him to teach me stuff, and then it's like, don't you want to learn, and this is where they get you. That's why I'm saying, like, if anything happened with me on any psyop, it has to be astral, because with him, when he and his wife and the kids start to get into the picture, he essentially moved into my place because they were after him in New Jersey. The children's warfare agency, after his kids, because they were kind of reckless, these two guys, like smoking pot, and neighbors report them to take away his kids, and then like these agencies are fucking, they, how devils they are, and they knew that they're like devils, so they were really running from them. And then that's when he just gets into my place, and then it slowly, like, yeah, it becomes this, that there was a certain night when we stood over, and then he says, I can, let's do some if you want to learn how to telecommunicate, which I didn't know I had that ability, but I already had, and he says that they teach that in the military. And that was like my thing. He was like, do you want to control the weather? Do you want to, like, I could teach you how to control the weather like Avatar and all that, to take martial arts. And I was like, oh fuck yeah, I want to do that. And then it fell out. It only happened one time. Like, so that night, after that first meeting in the night, I don't know if it was that same night, but we were broke night, because we were talking about, like, reincarnation, who you are, who he was, and then Shay, that was, oops, I shouldn't talk about. Anyway, that was his wife. Um, anyway, so in the dream where now she was popping into my dream, and was weird, because it's like, and this is the fucking the drama in this fucking shit is insane. It's like, oh, it can't get any more intense than that. It's like, I've been a person that if I would have friends and their girlfriends are flirting with me or whatever, I would never be the type of guy that would, like, be with a girl that's with, like, my friends, like, I don't do shit like that at all. Growing up, that was my code. It's like, no, even if they gone on whatever, and it's like, nah, it's like, I don't do, stuff like that, like all these other horn dogs do. But anyway, um, we had a connection, and then it was like this thing that we were in a past life, like Lee kind of got it. But we had this connection. It was like, oh, great. It's like that we were lovers in a past life. And Lee said it. It was like, yeah, there was a fire with the kids, and then she was your wife, and then and then I'm going like, holy shit, this is awkward. Anyway, in the dream, she was appearing in the dream, like with me, like, and he knew it because he'll be in the dream. But I remember one time, it's like in that dream world where when you're dreaming and then you're conscious for like a minute and you know that you're dreaming. Or like I woke up in the dream. When I woke up in the dream, I was like in this kind of like cube, and somebody else was in like a cube too. And then Lee was like doing something, like he was like doing some kind of like setting up something. And I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Like from the corner of my eye. And I was able to learn from him because I had to bring my game up. I don't know what the fuck is going on, because it's like he's telling me, and which I didn't believe him. I did and I didn't. But the part when he got into details how he died, that it was 4 guys that jumped him. As a matter of fact, the first one came was like on the set of Enter the Dragon. There's a scene where Lee's head jerks to the back, and there was a guy that went to the back and punched him right directly as a death blow in the back of the head. He was supposed to fucking drop dead, and for some like spiritual reason, he survived it, But then, and he, poisoned twice. You've seen that he was taken to the hospital, threw up twice, and all that stuff. And that's why they had him up to here, because in his nails you can see where it's all black here. That's indicating, that his body was, poisoned.
Black goo. It's like they were
Yeah,
giving him black goo and shit. You know what I mean?
I think is the result of whatever it turned. So it was in the alley. They got him. He already got him there. They killed him there. They brought his body up to like this actress Betty Timpei, and they left the body there, and they was like, all right, cover story. And then the autopsy report, Linda trying to fight like, oh, don't bring all this like drug, what you see in his autopsy, drugs, because he wasn't like, I don't want to say he was a seeker. So for him to like go like, oh, I want to try mushrooms, I can see where he was coming from, and doing all this stuff. But when his back got messed up, they were giving him steroids. That's why he was all cut up. He was like cut up, because it's like, hello, and people like I want to be like Lee. It's like they're using steroids. But it's kind of interesting because this time isn't like Tarantino popped in my head for like a minute here, because here like Lee was an asshole. If I was to see Tarantino, like, yeah, Tarantino, you're right. Lee wasn't a fucking ass. He was an asshole, And I had met. Did I tell you the Quentin Tarantino story?
You were gonna tell me the story. So tell me about the Quentin Tarantino story. Can't wait. I'm ready. Are you there?
Yes, it's a quick story with Tarantino. Tarantino, it was New York City. For those New Yorkers, the Chelsea Hotel, which is like a popular hotel that they filmed The Professional there, Golgo 13. Sid Vicious killed his girlfriend there. Janis Joplin stood there. Morgan Freeman, Jimi Hendrix stood there. Bob Dylan wrote there. The author from 2001, A Space Odyssey, wrote his novel there in the Chelsea Hotel. Anyway, so next to the Chelsea Hotel, there's the S&M Cafe. And then it was like 3 or 4 in the morning. And then I'm with a friend of mine, this wannabe producer who looks like Nathan Lane. And who I didn't know was, a dealer at the time. I didn't know that, That explains why he always stood in the hotel. Anyway, so we go into the S&M cafe, and then it's just me and him, and then across is Ethan Hawke, Quentin Tarantino, and two I guess doministric waitress, because it was called the S&M cafe. If you don't go, we're gonna have to bounce you. You're gonna get 86. You hear? I'm doing a podcast over here. So hold on, I'm an 86er. Hey, give this girl some money, huh? You've been looking. You
Yeah,
boogie.
when you were talking about the Chelsea hotel, I totally thought that it was a gate, like a gate to a jump room, dude. Because I mean, based on how to see for all these, people to be there, it sounds like
It's a cool hotel.
yeah.
There's
Connected
a
to the
lot of yeah, it's pretty it's a badass, like it's a shame that they boarded up and it's not the same anymore, but the artists in their hallway, they displayed their art, so all the way around you see that everybody's art. It was like a museum. It was better, it was more interesting than going to Mama's, or any other like art museum in well, except for the Metropolitan, but we're talking about any other museum. It's like, oh, the Chelsea Hotel was kind of badass. So inside, we're in the S&M cafe. They had like tie me up burgers, or like whip me fries, or spank me a shake. Which is funny, but it's true. It's true. And then so Quentin Tarantino's there, and I guess one of them, he's sitting there by the bar stool, and Ethan's being his wingman, and then he's rubbing this sister's foot, because he had a foot fetish. And this was back in like, and I told everybody this story back in like, where is it? Oh my God, I don't remember. Like maybe 1999, on somewhere back there, because back then he had not made Glorious Bastards. He was working on that script. So anyway, so I see him. Was that?
Oh, I said that was a good movie.
Yeah, I didn't get to see it because I don't know, the characters, I didn't like the way they look. But anyway, let me bring it back. You have to be quiet, little girl. Come on. So I guess he was negotiating with the girl. He had a foot fetish. She was like, "Come on," and he's rubbing her foot. She was like, "No, $500." And I told people this, they thought I was crazy. And then through the years, you see the films, Kill Bill and all that, which Kill Bill, this is why I had to bring this up, because it had a tie with Bruce Lee. So he had not written Glorious Bastards, right? So then I wait, he gets up, he goes to the bathroom, I get up, I go follow him, I go to the bathroom, I have to time it, and I used to work for Troma. Troma is like a B movie company that makes a toxic adventure movie, or like Surf Nazis Must Die, or like Teenage Bimbo from Venus. Just a B movie thing that's just like. But the guys, he did good. He was a millionaire. So he was a fan of Troma, and Troma, my friend had given him like a Troma wash that he wore to the Oscars, and he talked about it. And I knew the story, but then I approached. I was like, "Hey, Quentin, remember me?" It's like, I was the one that gave you that watch that you wore to the Oscars. It's like, "Oh yeah, thank you, thank you so much." I was like, "Quentin, I have a quick question for you. What do you think of Bruce Lee?" He was like, "Bruce Lee, yeah, he was all right. He was all right." And that's all he said. Because that's all. And I told him, this is the part that I told him. I was like, "Yeah, but it wouldn't be good because his last film, Game of Death, he didn't get to finish it. I think it would be nice to have a remake of the Game of Death." Years later, Kill Bill comes out. You see the tracksuit from the Game of Death, and I don't want to say anything, but
Yep.
So there you go. Anyway, so it's a weird connection with that, with with Lee, and his brother. I met his brother, Lee's brother, Robert Lee, and then my brother worked as a doorman where his niece would go. So it's like all this weird synchronicity with like the Lee family. So I got like like it's just weird. It's just kind of how synchronicity works. How it just works. So all right, so that's the Lee. So okay, now let me focus back on Lee. So we're talking that night, me and Lee, and then he says he wants to teach me all this. And then the next morning we go out. And then when we go out, we're in the park. This is in the Bronx, in the Bronx, where we're sitting on the bench and there's like these fit people that just walking, like jogging in front of us, like around us. This is like in the morning, 7 in the morning. I'm going like, what the fuck? It's like these couple look like there was a black brother and a white girl, but they looked like fit, like from the military. They were fucking military. Because they're walking, and we're like, wait a minute. I don't even see this in Central Park. You're gonna tell me all the way in the Bronx, these guys who look like they have an apartment in Manhattan are here jogging around here? And then we went into the park, and that's when I realized that there was like paparazzis, like they were fucking paparazzi. Because Lee was going like, okay, I'm gonna with the wind to control the wind. And since I knew Tai Chi, I just said like, whatever, Lee. I just went off on my own, and I just started to do this. And then we were just talking and all that stuff. He was saying how the wind is like consciousness. And I'm going like, all right, well, I'm like doing this and all that stuff. And what I think I at the end, it was like, why are they fucking on me? Like, okay, I could understand Lee. Now I know he's not lying that he's with the agency, because when he was talking about it, how he went to jail, and like he also says something about how in the astral plane he gets to see like all the fucking celebrities are there, like Bono, and all this. So if there any psyop operation that I was involved, it has to be that, because I'm really like I really am not like a drama guy,
Yeah.
like people like, but Lee, he just loves that. He just loves that, oh, it's okay, like there's always somebody in a group that's always be like, all right, we're gonna do, it's like, I said, chill, fucking chill, motherfucker.
Yeah.
So when we're walking down the stairs, before we go to the park, just because this part is kind of interesting, is that before we go downstairs, that we're gonna go to the park, he's gonna teach me how to like, be an airbender. In front of the house is like two Irish guys, like undercover, because he's talking about the IRS, how they helped him, because he's Irish and this and that. And then when we're going down the stairs, he goes like, hey, good morning. He was like, hey, good morning, guy. And I hear the fucking Irish accent. And that's when my mind just kind of like woke up, like going like, okay, wow, they're there at that moment where Lee said we're gonna go downstairs, and they're right there in the fucking front, you know. And then through these months, setting up cameras, and like at night, Lee will go like, you see that there from our window, the third floor, and a guy with like a German Shepherd dog, going up and down. He was like, you see that dog? That's $1 million dog. I said, what the fuck is that dog doing there? They're sniffing out for bombs. I'm like, oh, fucking great. So for me, as a person of logic, it's like, who am I? Because, okay, cool that he's Lee. Oh, okay, so he's cool that he's with the agency, but why is the fucking agency here? It's like that started making me go like, I have to find out who I am. But it wasn't even 2 years later that I found that it just kind of dawned me too. It's like they probably already came, not because Lee was teaching me, but because to see if I already have the powers, like they already knew it. And that's one of the things that I forgot to ask you. Is like, is time travel by any chance has anything to do with this? you know, because of all this experience that I'm gonna write about really in a book. Is really just a book that I'm gonna be writing about the reincarnated Akhenaten,
Oh yeah.
Tesla, Poe,
Yes.
and then talk about Lee too, the reincarnated, you know, Bruce Lee, you know, because he wanted to write his own book, but I'm gonna put my sign and he could add whatever he wants because he has some crazy fucking stories, you know, that,
Oh yeah.
you know, I'm like that Michael Jackson song. It's like I'm a lover, not a fighter, you know,
Yes.
but he was always like, as a matter of fact, you seen the Fight Club?
Yes.
The Brad Pitt character, that was Lee. It's kind of interesting that he was doing new chugs like in a corner, even though this movie came out before this incident. This movie came out way, but in this incident happened. But I'm going like, what the fuck? And that other guy, you know, that passive whatever, that was me. So that's exactly the dynamic that was going on, happening, and being involved in this fucking
Well,
crazy.
so that dream that you had, or in the peripheral that you saw of the guy, Bruce Lee, and you're in like a cube and the other guy's in the cube, that's pretty much um you're being cloned, and you're also he's also time travel. It seems like he's fitting you in to a timeline, to this timeline, to where he and you could be together in the timeline. So yes, time travel does exist, even though time does not exist, right? But it's all part of why we're here now. That's why I'm telling you, you're very important here on this earth. I'm important. Um, they want to know what we remember. They want to see, do they still have their abilities? You know, like in the military, they teach people how to remote view, but like you and me and other people like us that were Starseeds, we already knew how to do that. So that's why they use us in the secret space program. That's what I'm telling you. You don't know if they took you when you were a kid or what, you know. I know they took me, according to ACIU, at a year and 8 months. I thought they took me at 3, but you never know. You never know. And it's important that you write your book, and that Lee does as well. And you're very right. A lot of people will take their teeth out, you know, they'll get them done. They'll take them out because that is the number one way that they can track people. Find it interesting that there was a CIA love bite that doesn't have teeth that I found out he was, I'm not going to say who or where, but it's his body. He said he was 65, but it totally was like a 40-year-old, 35, 40-year-old. So they do, I know a lot of people talk about age regression, but there are things like they can put you in a med bed, or they can put you, you know, in a tank, in a green water tank, or blue water. They can do all kinds of stuff. So you are very important, and I can't wait to hear about your experience where you'll be, and beware because they're gonna be following you. Even today, I went to a restaurant with my daughter and I had been planning it for a few days. And as soon as we walk in, not even in 10 minutes later, and freaking agent sits right next to us out of all the freaking tables. And I told my daughter, this asshole. She goes, Mom, promise me, don't overthink it, because every time we go, you think somebody's following. I'm like, I know they're following me. All the tables were empty. We were the first customers at that hour. Why does he have to sit right here to listen to my conversation? Oh, Mom, you know, the waitress, it sounds like he's a regular. I don't give a fuck. Why do you have to sit right next to me and my daughter? They do it all the time. So we must be important, right?
Well, for me, I think it has to be about abilities. I mean, even though through going through this crazy journey and hardship, like I believe in psychics when you go, like, you know, it just depends. Like some of them are really like more in detail. So they will give you like, but then some of them will go like, and you're like, holy shit. So when through this whole pressure thing, you know, because I went through fucking crazy, like like hours with no sleep, no food, you know, and being under it with him because he was like, oh, you know, it's like, don't work, you know, we're gonna get money for you to make your film. We got this thing going, and the back rent that went because all the money, I like my comic book collection, everything, like just like, and it reminded me of a movie with Michael Keaton. I think it was called Specific Height. But this is a nice couple. They have this house and rent it out to somebody, and he just fucks it all up. And that's what he fucking did when he came into my life. And but my thing is like, if I had to go through that hardship to find out who I was, then I said fuck. Then I guess it was meant to be. I guess, but I can guarantee you that it would have been more easier for me to survive Hell Week than any of these guys to survive what I went through for fucking 7 months. You know, because at the end they separate you from your family, you know, and from everyone, and then you know, to make you want to like jump out the window and kill yourself. And I go like, wait a minute, because it just went all the way to that point where I said like, fuck, like I had tons of paper, like stacks of like this from a lifetime of work, you know, of like metaphysical stuff, you know, that I just said. And then that was one of the things that his girl was going like, I want you to turn us your research, your papers, you know, because she was going like, she wanted to make a movie about 2012 before 2012 happens. And I go like, well, guess what? Nothing is going to happen in 2012. You know, they got this shit wrong. Just like, what do you mean? You know, and yeah, and everything that because they went to the metaphysics and all that stuff, but he felt threatened too. You know, like I could understand. Well, I think it was bigger strings I was pulling that because at the end, what they wanted to do was see us fight. You know, like because it's weird because
They do
you
that.
know
They
that
against each other.
that like just to have us like yeah to have each other like because how could like I go through life of meeting beautiful women, beautiful girls that I know, this and that, and I never fucking dream once of them in my dreams. And all of a sudden, this one girl, oh, you're that you were together in a past life, and then she's in my dreams, like there every night, and I'm going like, what the fuck, you know, like I'm sure there was a purpose to set that up.
Yeah, it's a CIA love bite. That's what I coined it. CIA love bite. Some people, I didn't know that they call it the alien love bite. I had no idea. I started calling it the CIA love bite because they do that shit. And then they make you dream of these people. You know, that's why I'm telling you. It's like, was it a screen memory? Did they put it there? Was it you? That's why it's so important to go within and find out what the fuck. Now I wrote down here the Omega Project. The Omega Project is exactly what you described. Is at the end of the day, they will put you either against your family or that loved one and fucking take everybody away. And they want you to off yourself, and it's called the Omega programming. It's like a switch that they want to turn on. So my hat's off to you. You did it. You made it. You're here, and we're gonna keep going, man. We're gonna keep going, Firehorse, because this shit is real, and people need to know you're not alone.
That's what's important for the Starseeds to know that there's a list, there's a hit list for us. That's what the stars needs it. They don't even know. Like you can have like all these conscious people, but they're not trying to go after you and kill you. Then you know, then you're not a threat. You know.
Why? Because you're probably living in a fucking matrix and you don't even know who the fuck you are. So the whole goal of us being keys here, Starseeds, is for us, Firehorse, people like us, to help others wake the fuck up.
Yeah, yeah. It's just a matrix.
Do you have something on? I hear something in the background. I hear a female voice.
Oh, you do? Okay. Let me hold on. I'm gonna switch to.
It's okay.
I'm gonna plug this baby in.
It's like somebody trying to have a conversation over our conversation. Get the fuck out of here. Leave us alone.
Hey, don't be disrespecting me over here.
Hey, do we gotta call good old Tony? Good old Tony. While you're at it, get me a pizza.
Keep the enchiladas down, eh? I'm in a podcast over here. Be
Outta here.
disrespecting me here.
Oh my god.
So yeah, so okay, there was a point, since you said like, which I don't know, maybe this has something to do with it. I don't know, maybe if they did. When I was a child, I think I was like 2, 3 years old, and I was sick. And like my father, like an idiot, he gives me cold beer. That wants me being more sick. Then my mother takes me to the hospital, and I go into a coma for 3 days. So I guess if anything, maybe something happened there. I'm not sure, but
They took you for 3 days. They augmented you. That's when they augmented you. They could have given you black goo. You never know. Are you like really, really strong physically? Like when you get pissed off?
I know how to use chi, like chi, like let's say moving and all that stuff that I could just like, I know how to use chi, like in inner strength, yeah. Like I can, yeah. And yeah, and it's kind of interesting because you could open. It's like when I trip on mushrooms, I could open portals that way. And every
I
time when I
told you, you can open portals, you can go through wormholes, you can go get artifacts, you can actually go into your time where you were Akhenaten, go get something from there and bring it back here. Time travel back here to this timeline. Have you ever given yourself, like, for example, I somehow gave myself a coin, and I've shown it before online, that it has the face of a skull in the front, and it has all these little marquitas around there, and it's like different stargates to open, different stargates, and in the back, it has a picture of the Mars complex in the back. It kind of looks like the Pirate of the Caribbean thing, and I gave it to myself about 4 years ago. And that's how we give ourselves things. We time travel and we give ourselves things. So you might want to see what kind of artifacts you might have that are real. Like you don't know if they're you time travel and you gave yourself stuff in the now. But you can still go and do that even to this day, that you can go through the astral or you can go physically. But anyway, go ahead. I can go on and on.
So yeah, so that was like it's a 7 month of that craziness for Lee, but it's kind of interesting though that I guess I don't want to say it's a fair exchange because I went to some the light on the face and the like when I found out that because it was during like maybe 4 or 5 months because I went to a psychic to find out like I guess when all this shit was gonna end and I wasn't expecting this, but I got he said you channel Edgar Allan Poe, and then that's when I went like holy shit. I said like no, I am Edgar Allan Poe. So that was like one of the first ones that I kind of put two and two together, and it's kind of interesting. Did I tell you the story?
Yeah, but a little bit. You told me. Well, you didn't. You just told me little bits and pieces. But go ahead. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Because this will tie in, like everything when you mentioned in the beginning, all those questions. So I'm just like answering all this. Poe Park. There is in the Bronx. There is a house, Poe Park, where Edgar Allan Poe used to live at, and he would write really small. And if you look at my penmanship, I write really small. Again, this is going back to reincarnation. Like so, I still had that same penmanship. And I got into writing poetries. I got to writing short stories, and I would write them with a twist at the end. Always like this, always, you know, just twist at the end. And then when I started reading Edgar Allan Poe's short stories, they had a twist at the end like that. It's like I said, oh shit, he was the first one to write like a film noir, a macabre thing, and that was when my friend was in Hunter College. He was in film school, and I wrote a short film for him, and I wrote it similar like that. This crazy macabre, crazy film that like film noir that just had that same flavor. And I remember a kid called Edgar who playing softball. He hit the ball, went to chase it, got hit by a car, asshole. But anyway, um, so his name was Edgar, and I used to like that name, Edgar. And then I said, like, oh, now it all makes sense when that guy just told me that, like all those little notes that I had on my mental wall just went there. And I went like, oh, okay, because I just put two and two together from like, oh, wait a minute, in the past, oh, wait a minute, wait a minute. The first girl that I had a crush on that I saw in kindergarten, her name was Annabelle. Annabelle was the guy that the Edgar Allan Poe's wife was called Annabelle. She lived in the house where the real Annabelle lived in the Bronx in the fucking Poe Park. But it was a building there. Now you see the park, but the park originally was where that building was, and then that's the building where the house was. So when the house moved into the park, and the building was there, the reincarnated Annabelle lived in the house that I had the crush on in kindergarten. So it's like all these crazy synchronicities that I'm like, holy shit, you know, just going on, like going on. But it didn't make sense. It's like, what the fuck is Edgar Allan Poe is a threat to this agency for? It's like I said, no, there has to be something more. Even though it's kind of cool, I got to find that out and got to find out where I get my inspiration for poetry
There's
and
secrets.
writing.
Mhm. You can write so many secrets in poetry. You can write secrets, and people, only code breakers like us, Starseeds, would know. If you write something, but you put something in there, it's like, oh wow. Oh, I'm pretty sure you could do that with your playwright too, that you're gonna be, you put a little bit more salsa in the tacos, but with a twist, and then it all makes sense because we code break it at the end.
Yeah, there's something I think we there's also like magicians don't talk about this superpower that we have, but it's like the pen. They say that it's mightier than the sword. Like when I was writing this play, I was writing. Check this out. This is fucking crazy. I was writing this play, and I made this character a heroin addict. You know, like a struggling poet, heroin addict. And then I gave myself that part in a play. And then when I did that, you know, I'm not that extreme as a method actor, but I started to like go, all right, let me, and I actually started to feel that. And when I started to feel that, and I was like, okay, this is it. I didn't realize a psychic girl that I met, a psychic, she was saying like, no, you were channeling, you were connecting with Edgar Allan Poe. And I thought I was as an actor here. And then I go like, what do you mean? She was like, he was a heroin addict. I didn't know that. I said, oh, fuck, okay. Because yeah,
I
it's
didn't
like
know that. I
I
had no
didn't know that
idea.
either. But then I can feel it. Why I said, yeah, no, I could understand that, and I can also see. I've never done opium, but I always when I know like when Lee in a past life he was my son in a past life in Hong Kong, and when he had died, I would just spend my time in the opium den, just like smoking, like at my most depressed moment of just being there, and I remember that I remember that feeling of just like, oh, leave me alone. I just want to get high and have meaningless sex, you know, and just like just to be at that slump. And this is going to bring validation as far as like this Lee guy, because Lee is friends with David Blaine, the magician. So if you ever meet David Blaine on the street, anybody out there, or friends with him on Facebook, was like, hey, do you know the reincarnated Bruce Lee? Look at his reaction. He'd be shocked, but he was like, yeah, he's friends with him. Because Lee told me the story and he met with him and I see him. And when he was with me, he would always call him and talk with him on the phone, to David Blaine. And then he goes like, hey, he told him about me, but I didn't know that I was Tesla yet. I told him, hey, I was Edgar Allan Poe. He was like, yeah, I can see that. But he had a problem down the road when I found out that I was a reincarnated Tesla. And then that's when he got mad. This big ego thing of like, there was like a point where like, I think there was, remember, this is 7 months of crazy insanity. At this point, they had taken the kids, they tracked them down because this girl, through her wisdom, he went to jail. He was going in and out of jail. The fucking guy is fucking crazy. And a lot of time it got thrown out because in the judges, when they're frank, it was like, this was a psyop operation. You want me to say what's going on here? Just go like, hold on, we'll go to the side. What are you talking about? Military. And that was it. Case dismissed. But David Blaine knows him, and David Blaine also knows Leonardo DiCaprio. This is how crazy Hollywood is with like, and I'm still trying to figure out like, and I'm still, even though I found out that I was Edgar Allan Poe and that I was Tesla, and then at the end, okay, Akhenaten, because that was the last one, and I didn't even know that until 2013. That it was like the reincarnated. Akhenaten had a second wife, and in the second wife he had King Tut with that second wife. And the Tesla, I don't talk too much about it because that brings up emotion like crazy. Like I would cry, so I would just not talk about that. But then when it came to the connections to that, holy shit! Like I'm like, oh, no wonder I fucking hate George Bush with a passion. That I wanted to kill him because he was the one that ordered the hit on Nikola Tesla. When he quit the Philadelphia experiment.
Tell me about that. So Tesla quit the Philadelphia experiment, and then George Bush, the senior, put a hit on Tesla.
Yeah, to
Wow.
confiscate all his stuff because he worked on secret projects with the military. He would just send in stuff submission naively. He didn't know that he told us, hey, country, so you guys could like protect each other. He had other stuff, invention like the chronovision, where you could just look through it and see the future, which is they still have, which is what makes me think they use that chronovision to see what I did in the future. Because
right now they call it the telescope. They call it the well, there's another one that they call the Alice. Because when I remote viewed Alice and actually saw her up here at night in the sky looking down, there's two Alices, AI system, but they call it the project. What is that? Something telescope. But it was the coronavisor, and there was a dude. He was actually in the Vatican. He was a priest who actually, you could look it up online and see that was a chronovisor, and he wrote about it, and it is intertwined with Tesla that I know of. Chronovisor, chrono something. Go ahead. Sorry.
Chronovision, yeah, chronovision. There was this Irish nun, and she was into electronics and all that stuff, and she corresponded with Tesla, and then Tesla had an incident where he had these rotating magnetic fields. Like it's kind of crazy too in Manhattan. Every place that he visit, I either worked there or had some kind of connection with there. It's like out of all the fucking places, 84th Street, Edgar Allan Poe. at all the places to work. I'm there right next to. It's just a synchronicities. It's just crazy. The synchronicities are insane. It's just so crazy. But anyway, oh man, I can't emphasize this more. Is how free, we all go back to like a familiar, anyway. So he hits the coils, and then he has this electrocution, and then he sees the past, the future, the present, everything at once when that happened to him. And then when he got out, his assistant pulled the plug and hit the machine, so he was all fucked up, and he went up to have I think dinner, and then that's when the reporter came and caught him just in time. It was like, oh, he told him that experience. And I think she read about it too. And then from that experience of seeing the past, present, and future, and then hitting those coils, that a nun decided to start making her own, and she developed the chronovision. And then that was during World War II, where now, like, she get local news, press, and all that stuff, and then now the military got wind of this, like, they really thought she was like cookie. That was like, yeah, whatever. And it wasn't until the Germans said, wait a minute, everybody's dismissing her over there, but the Germans, they know they're a cult. They're like, that's they live and breathe that shit. So then, what? Boom, they go out there. Hitler gets his hands on it. So Hitler gets his hands on it. It's like, chronovision. Let's see what's going on in the future. He looks through it. He was like, fuck. Let's go to Alaska. So they have to go to Alaska because he saw that Germany lost the war, but not really lost, because they rebuild back and their economy is.
They went to Antarctica, right?
Yeah. There was like an earlier group, like in the 1800s, Germans, that they kind of migrated towards Antarctica. Like they found an opening into the inner Earth, and then they saw like these other beings, which I think they're their avatars. I think, like, the Germans have, like, whoever, because each of our races, we have like our deities that there is no one God. There's many creators. So since they were familiar with that, because they studied the code, it's like, wait a minute, we had like a group of Germans that already migrated there in the 1800s, so let's escape. So they had like a lot, like I don't know how many, like, wow, like the population of Germany, I forgot how many millions it was, but at least like only 2 million was left. There was a lot of millions that just went, and they migrated to New Berlin,
Yeah, and
in
then
Antarctica.
Project Paperclip, and then MI6 is involved, and the cloning of kids, the whole science experiments that they did, sewing kids together, twinning program. It was fucking horrible. And then, yeah, they found out that they had lost the war. Then supposedly they sold some technology through the Greys, who knows, to Eisenhower. And then that's when they said, oh, we'll pretend you guys won. We'll trade some secrets. That's when they build the Bell system, drone ships, and then the TR-3Bs that are out there. And then remember that guy, that Buzz guy. He was an astronaut that went under to Antarctica.
Buzz Lightyear.
Remember Buzz, and then Buzz Lightyear. I mean, you think
Buzz
about
Lightyear
Buzz
is from
Lightyear.
Disney. No, it's
Yeah,
Buzz. It's Buzz Aldrin. It's Buzz Aldrin. I'm kidding.
yeah, it's Buzz Aldrin, but I also think about Buzz Lightyear and the connection with the space program and all that shit.
Okay.
And he said he saw the most horrible thing ever. So I'm like, okay, either they're wannabe ET gods are there, or they're cloning kids. I know I've remote viewed some things under Antarctica, and I've seen some sleeper soldiers under ice that it's all connected to the baby Jabberwocky thing that I can't even talk about, and creating new super soldiers, creating a new world, because the whole thing that the military and everything talking about the the telescope thingy is because they saw the future. Tesla saw what the fuck was gonna happen. Earth is gonna fucking explode here. And they're like, well, what the hell? We need to get a bunch of people, take at least half of Earth and the people and the plants and the children and get them through this wormhole, through HARP, through CERN, into a wormhole into another time dimension, literal, so that they can create their new Earth and fucking ascension and all that shit. So this is my secret. I ain't going. I ain't going. I ain't gonna take that thing that they're offering. I ain't gonna, you know what I'm saying? And this is the whole thing that they had Tesla working on, because they were trying to change the timelines to where supposedly this wormwood or Nibiru, whatever the fuck you want to call it, comes in and bam, the big, gets rid of Earth. This is the
Yeah,
whole
the whole Earth, yeah, it's like fear mongering because everything is in winter simulation is controlled. So it's just those that deserve is the elites that are more afraid because like what is the Bible says, and the meek and shall inherit the earth. So but let's see. So I guess to tie in like with what I find out, like, which is this is crazy. Because I got I got evicted from the apartment that I was, which that they wanted to me homeless. If my stepfather and mother didn't have a house there at the time, I would have been fucked. So I moved in with them, and before I moved in, I moved in with them. And when I moved in with them, we lived next to these stairs, right? The stairways. And it's kind of fucking interesting because I used to, like, during the winter, I was like, I hope I don't bust my ass going up and down these stairs. And I would look at these stairs and I would say, like, I was just thinking, this is fucking crazy. So as I was thinking, like, this is a good location to shoot like a movie using these stairs. And I'm like 2 blocks away up the stairs where the house that I used to live at, right? I go to Florida, and while I'm in Florida, my mother said, like, oh, they're filming a movie around here, like where she's at, in the Bronx. I said, oh, okay. There's a knock on the door. My mother, she doesn't speak English. She understands that she doesn't speak English and all that stuff. So she goes, this is crazy. Imagine like a Spanish mother in the Bronx. You knock on the door and you answer the door, and it's fucking Leonardo DiCaprio. So she knocks on the door. She goes and she's just like shell shocked. She was like, and then she's like telling to my sister, "Tenía los ojos tan azules." Like let's telling like how
Sí, son las mexicanas y las puertorriqueñas y las latinas. Ven a un pinche gringo con unos ojos azules hermosos. Ay, los ojos azules. Yep. I can imagine.
so so then my mother's telling me this, and then I didn't really make the connection yet until like his connection, and he I guess he was at that moment Wolf of Wall Street came out. That movie already came out. So when that movie came out,
It's a horrible movie. Oh, I didn't like it. It's horrible.
His next movie was In the Wild. So that was his next movie. So I don't know what kind of script he gave, like and it's a good thing because I think I don't know. I think it was I was pissed at the time because anyway, so he knocks on the door. I mean, he knocks on the door. My mother answers. My stepfather's not there because it's his house, really. She just lives there anyway. So then he goes like, hey, un poquito en español, pero podemos usar tu casa, película, pagamos mucho dinero. This Leo going like, mucho dinero. Leo, shut up and go back to the boat. Go back under the ice. Leo. So anyway, so then my mother's shocked. She was like, "Well, it's not, you know, I have to ask my husband. You know, it's his house and all that stuff." And then I think then after that, one of the tech guys came in. And then my stepfather says like, "Ah, I want to see the script," because he was a Christian. You know, and then it's like I'm going like, "Oh, great!" And I'm in Florida, going like, "Fuck, that could be my chance to get into Hollywood." I could tell him, you know, like really confront him, not really confront him, but tell him like, are you friends with David Blaine? Because David Blaine, you know, and to kind of connect him with back with this Lisa, but we're like, damn. And I told like, anyway, so he read the script. I think it was drugs, orgies, and whatever. He was like, no, no thanks. And he said the script back. And then I'm going like, are you crazy? The amount of money that you can get. But then I lost my head for a minute, going like, no, wait a minute. Why would they fucking do that? Because the next movie that came out was that, and I have to still keep intact because that's how they fucking get you with people that are celebrity starstruck. Like, oh, like, oh my God, Steven Tyler? Sure, you can take my 12-year-old daughter. Yeah, you can adopt her. Go ahead, go on tour. You know, because of that, you know, is fucking abusive. Anyway, so thinking back on it, I don't know what would have happened if he would have used the house or whatever, or like I don't know. Or that was like their initiation to like lure me into Hollywood, because I know that they've been wanting to lure me, and I just don't. I'm like I just want to make my own film, and that's it. I'm not doing shit with them because you're gonna fucking pay a price. There's a price to pay. There's a fucking
You never know.
price to pay.
There could have been a death there in your house. They could have been bringing all these satanic shit and orgies and shit.
Well,
You don't know
yeah.
what kind of demons they were
Well,
conjuring up.
well. The thing is that they knew at the end because they wanted to they want to keep you impoverished. So whatever it is that they want to do, because he owned that house, that was his livelihood, and not only that, in that house, it was a chunk of land there. Now this is the kicker. Now this is the kicker. Okay, let's forget about that and come to a movie that just came in and started to use the stairs that I was thinking that should be in a movie. The Joker movie. The Joker movie. And then you have a movie like the Joker movie. Why do you want to put on a poster the
They were making
stairs?
fun of you. Dude, The Joker is a movie about you. They were making fun of you, dude.
And this is what I find interesting. I was in the, I went, well, yeah, that's what you know what? I fucking, because again, Hollywood and the occult goes together. And they knew a lot of shit that they know that I gave them my fucking ideas. I give them my ideas and all that. They have no. So in my mind, I was thinking, I was like, you motherfuckers. I was like, oh, that's funny. And I think I did that at one point. I put that on Facebook, but I didn't go into details because I wanted them to see it more, for them to see it. But I was going like, fucking really? Like, and they gave me 5 days to work in that movie. I only worked on it like maybe 2 days. And it's kind of interesting because motherfuckers, they gave me these tight shoes. So it was so tight that it was like hard for me to walk in them. But this was shot in the Bronx. We shot this in the Bronx, the train scene where he's going through the train to Joker, Joaquin Phoenix. You have all this train with all these people, and I'm all the way in the end, and then they happen to bring him right there in front of me for that scene, and I'm going like, what the fuck? You know, like in my mind, I'm thinking like, wow, it's lucky I just happened to be in the right spot at the right moment, you know, thinking, you know, and then they bring him right there in front of me, right there beside me, and then I'm looking, I'm going like, oh shit, I'm looking and go like, because I'm critical when it comes to film, because I grew up on comic books, and they always fuck it up. They always fuck it up. I don't care which one. Although I did enjoy WandaVision and Superman with Christopher Reed. That was a classic. And I think I think Marlon Brando started the superhero genre, because he said yes to Superman. When he said yes to Superman, that attracted everything, and then that started the superhero genre because of that, you know. But anyway, so I see with the stairs, and I'm thinking in my mind, the stairs, come on, really? You have all this artistic thing of putting a poster and then you just putting the stairs, but it was kind of interesting how they were able to, like, I don't know, like pick that up that from my mind. And I think it's because I wrote the book already and they already read the book from the future and they just fucking with me, because I can't really explain this. Like, because they know stuff that I never went out there, and
It wouldn't
they
surprise
just
me.
know.
It wouldn't surprise me if there's 33 steps in the stairs.
If
Wouldn't
they what?
It wouldn't surprise me if there's 33 stairs in those steps.
I think I counted them, but but I forgot. I know the sets of, like, because I always like mentally like just look down and try to build up the stamina to just go, just going up and down the stairs. But then they film other movies. I see other movies like the Get Down, the Get Down. I was in that one, but in that, and they filmed it there, and then I just see other movies, and I go like, okay, now they have like a few movies here, but I found that interesting because they have other stairs like that in the fucking Bronx, and for me, it's just that connection.
Well, it's because there is some kind of Stargate on the bottom, and also on the bottom of those stairs is connected to the train system that goes like Mach 4 speed. It's connected to the train system for child trafficking. It goes to other portals. It goes to other. The whole world is connected with these fucking trains that are downstairs. The DOMs are connected. Military is connected. You can do so much sex trafficking there, so easy. You go down the stairs, those stairs. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why they wanted to use your dad's house, your stepdad's house. Just saying.
You know what? And I think at the end, it wound up like, not that I'm anti-Semitic, but the Jewish people wound up buying that property. you know, and he had land right there, and
There
I was
you
going like,
go. There you go. There's your answer.
so yeah.
Clear it up.
And it's like, yeah, it's like my stepfather's an idiot, it's like I could have talked to him and go like, wait a minute, you don't understand, you got land there too, you could get like even more, like a quarter. He at that last minute, his lawyer called him and was like, hey, I have somebody that wants to give you $250,000, and he had already yeah, locked them down. And then it was a whole fucking crazy insanity going on. But yeah, it just like I'm just still trying to figure this whole shit out. I'm like, so I'm like, just yeah, it's just the journey is a work in progress.
Yeah, and be careful when you go to where you're gonna go. Just always get your eyes peeled and don't trust anybody wherever you're going. And I'm not gonna mention where because you shouldn't mention it online. But
It is a shamanistic journey. So I'll let you.
yeah,
I'll report to you guys what goes on, which is like
can't wait to meet
going.
after too and go through that journey myself. And it would be interesting to find out who I really am. I mean, you've already found out who you.
I no, not really, because I'm still like going like Tesla is not a threat. I don't see Akhenaten as a threat. I can see what I can see as a threat is if they see me connecting with the elements. I can see that as a threat
That
because I
that
had
that is the threat right there to them. Yes.
because I had like Nikki Love. Shout out to Nikki Love. She's like on a podcast and doing it for like a good while. But she was the one that saw it. She saw it's like me like I guess, yeah, practicing with the wind. Sometimes I don't realize, I'm like, why are the tree leaves moving, but I don't feel the wind when I do this? And I realize, like, oh my God, it's the trees that are saying hello, that are waving. So
Yeah,
that's that. At the end, yeah, we
because you
all of
are
us back
the
in
wind.
nature.
You are the wind. That's why. Get it? Like when I also practice with the trees and the leaves. I practice with water too. They are saying hello to you. They're acknowledging you. They love you. You know what I mean? And we're so connected with Mother Earth and nature. So
Yeah, it's there. We just don't see it. But
by the
it is
way,
there.
I still hear that woman talking and they're like dining. They're like your forks going. But it could be your neighbor. You never know. It could be, good old Tony having a talk with the neighbor. Maybe it's a dominatrix living next to you. You never know. Anyway, I was wondering if you wanted to come back on the show for next time we can talk about other stuff like this that
Yeah,
we
yeah.
go.
Well, I had the moon to talk about. We'll talk about the moon next time. Yeah, I guess we just free flow, which is good. I like to do that
I love
because I get so stressed out when it comes to, like, I do this to
it.
myself. I over, like, because when I want to give a podcast like with Daino, I'm like at the last minute's notes, and then all right, I'm there. Then I'm like choo, 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 all over the place because I bite off more than I can chew.
I
But yeah,
don't
we'll go.
like structure because I can't keep. I just can't keep one subject and then go to another. To me, it's everywhere. It's everything at once happening, past, present, and future. Everything happens in my mind at the same time. So there's no way. Like our lady always says, "So what? Are you gonna have notes this time? Or are you gonna shoot off the hip?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna go off the hip, baby, because that's how I roll." I don't. I just can't concentrate that way. With you, got to do it this way. So I'm with you, brother. Love you. Tell everybody how they can get a hold of you. And I was given a strike because I was talking about the baby Jabberwocky. So this is probably going to go up in a week. All right.
Okay, cool.
So how
Okay.
can they get a hold of Firehorse? And that way they can also invite you on their movie sets or podcasts. You never know.
No movie sets. They don't know who I am. I'll come out with my own movies. Thanks. But if you're an investor, then that's different. You know.
Yeah.
I guess here, I have like a Facebook Firehorse Klaatu. Yeah. Like I said, I'm not selling anything, so I'll just be here. So
And
if
if
you have
there are
questions,
investors that want to invest into Firehorse, please do so. And don't ask for nothing in return. That's all I say. He has a good heart. Thank you, Firehorse, for being on here. Love
thank you. Take care. Take care, people. Whole talkers.